Woo! What a time to be a fan of football. This is amazing. If you're a fan of Oregon, right? Woo! Dante Moore's coming back. Come on now. If you're a Giant fan, oh my God. John Harbaugh signed, sealed, delivered. He's yours. But if you a Jet fan, yeah, I guess we got nothing to talk about. So, we're just gonna talk about how bad we have been and how bad we're gonna be because we are the Jets and we stink. We are live. Boy Green meets Wudi.
Can you guys help us get a jet chant here? Yeah, going.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. Come on in.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go!
J-E-T-S, Jet, Jet, Jet! Let's go! J-E-T-S, Jet, Jet, Jet! Let's go! There you go!
Third Party Thursday.
Chris joining us here on the program with a capital P here on the program.
Jake Asman, come on down. How you doing, good sir?
Wow, what an intro. I mean, Boy Green is known for having the intro, but Wudi, that was unreal, man. Thanks for the kind words, son.
We are men of many names.
My favorite Austrian Jets fan right there,
Okay.
baby.
Boy Green
Meets Wudi. Welcome to another episode of Boy Green Meets Wudi. It is your boy James Wudi, and I'm still Wudi, rocking everywhere. Right here, my guy, he got a New York Jets AFC East shirt on, styling, profiling, got the gray. I mean, this is a very nice outfit that my guy got on right here. He is the boy who became king, Mr. None Other than Mr. Paul Esden Jr. Hey, come on now, wedding shuffle. Oh, let's get it. Okay, there it is. My man always can turn my frown upside down. I mean, a lot of things happening in sports right now, and I just feel like the Jets are Squidward, in his house watching Patrick and SpongeBob, run around. That classic meme, Harbaugh. I mean, we weren't gonna get hard, obviously, but it's just to see our neighbors, our MetLife neighbors, be the ones. And I've already received so many text messages from Giants fans. It's kind of the worst. And Dante Moore, I did not want to draft him at all. I had no interest in that, but I was interested in trading that second overall pick to a team who did, and potentially securing that fourth first-round pick in 2027. If you saw my my YouTube short yesterday on Take Flight Talk, that's pretty much what I said. But now I don't know if anyone's going to give a first for next year, for one of these guys, Reese or Bain or anyone like that. So BG, before we get to, our scheduled topic, I would just love to hear your thoughts on, the Harbaugh to Giant fit and, Dante Moore, the implications. I know you obviously spoke about them on your channel as well, but just a little double dip for Boy Green meets Wudi.
For sure. Normally, I advocate against double dipping, but in this particular sense, I will dabble. I just posted a YouTube. I don't know why it just hit me. The Joker movie that came out with Joaquin Phoenix, and he just has that laugh where he's just like, and he has that laugh. I was just, I'm an optimistic guy. I am glass half full in my personal life and in my sports pleasure, that I try to see the best out of a situation. And when Dante Moore said, thanks, but no thanks, and no less on a Sports Center special of like, yeah, fuck you, Jets. That just felt extra. It felt like a college kid, like, oh, I'm gonna put on this hat, oh, I'm gonna put on this one. Just kidding. Going back to school. And it just sort of like hit me, again, because I'm normally an optimistic guy, but I posted that like Joker laughing, like when you realize the Jets are never going to find a franchise quarterback. It just is just painful. It's just very painful to try to see because, okay, in your particular case, right, you didn't want Dante Moore, but you wanted him in because they could have traded the pick, and I totally agree that could have happened, obviously, at that path. But now there is no clear path on the table. Unless the Raiders do something crazy, they're not going to. They're just not going to. They're going to take Fernando Mendoza. They're not blind. So they're going to take a number 1 overall. And we are in a draft with a 1 quarterback horse, and we have pick number 2. So there are other quarterbacks in this class, and Tank for Ty is going to be in the comments. He's one of my Boy Green subscribers, and I appreciate that. And there's other guys, sometimes there's quarterback classes that have multiple guys that succeed in a variety of places that surprise you. Maybe that's going to happen here, but it's hard to see it right now that there's a clear and obvious answer. So where did the Jets go from here? So I was candid in my YouTube shorts because I have to do one for my channel. I do one for the MC Show digital channel to give my Jets perspective. And I think the one on the MC Show digital channel was just raw that like, wow, this is a kick to the loins. Because I thought for sure Dante was coming in. $50 million. Like, the line from Rush Hour, $50 million. Chris Tucker. That's right. I'm like, come on, man. $50 million. I don't give a shit if you think the Jets are this or who. $50 million is $50 million. Guaranteed. And if you think you're as hot of a quarterback as you think you are, you can go to a crappy situation and overcome it and then get even more money down the line. So, yeah, I'll be honest, that stunned me because it's just so risky for Dante. Hey, the decision's made. It is what it is. The ink is dry on the decision. But just speaking from my perspective, like, damn, that is risky as hell. You could go back to school and then just have flaws and suck in a bad year and have a lot of picks, and all of a sudden you don't go in the first round. That can happen. It happens to guys all the time. You could get hurt, and I don't root for that at all for Dante. You could get hurt, slipping, doing anything. And sure, you could get medical insurances. So, like, if I don't go in the first round, I get $2 million or something, but it's not $50 million. So, it's just I'm at a very confused time. I'm at a very conflicted time in my brain because I want to be optimistic. I just don't see it. So it's one of these situations where just past the holiday season, if I didn't see Santa bring his fat ass down the chimney, but there are presents there, was that Santa? Was that somebody else? So I now need to go back to a former Syracuse coach who used this word all the time. Faith. What's the definition of faith? Is belief without evidence. There is no evidence that clearly says, here's how the Jets are going to find that next franchise quarterback. So I just have to have faith, which is blind belief that it's just somehow going to happen. So you've caught me at a point, James, that I'm struggling right now. I'm struggling.
That is so sad. I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't take it as a slap to the face of the Jets, him going back, but it seems like you did.
No, I know all those jokes are going crazy. Look, Dante Moore avoided the Jets. The Grandpa Simpson. Oh, I'm going to the draft. Just kidding. The Jets are there. Psych. Out. I get the jokes. The jokes are hitting. So no, I don't take it as that. I just take the facts, the reality that I thought he was going to be in it, and then he wasn't. So maybe I was being naive. Maybe we had Ryan Roberts, who we're going to have multiple times for our draft shows. He joined me this morning and said from his scouting and people perspective he talked to, that decision was not a surprise to him. He had heard those kind of rumors for months. And so to Ryan, it wasn't a surprise. So again, maybe I was just being naive and I just wanted it to happen and will it to happen. And I set myself up for failure. And then when it did, I'm like, geez, like, wow, go. And then it's on me, right? Because it's not like in this particular case, Dante Moore decided to go back, but it's almost like when a player goes third overall and then we're like, this guy's a bust. Well, he didn't ask to go third overall. It just sort of happened. So maybe my own expectations are the demons. It's not on Dante. So no, I don't think it was a Jets thing. But as a Jets fan, from my perspective, my world is the only world that matters. I don't give a shit about the other 31 teams. It's just me, and I have the blinders on. That's where I'm having the difficulty of Dante going back. Because even if you love Dante or didn't, he's hope. He is the Family Guy box scene. He's a mystery box. He could be the franchise quarterback. He might not be. But you don't know till you draft it and select it. And that would have been the hopium in a box. But now, boop, that box just got lit on fire. There is now no quarterback that's going to be second overall. So there may be a Geno Smith situation. I see Troy Sturgis says here, I'll throw up his super chat real quick as we're talking here.
Wow.
Geno, coming out of West Virginia, I saw him in his bowl games here because he played in the Pinstripe Bowl against Syracuse, so I got to see that game in his pre-draft process. He was a bona fide, unquestioned first-round pick, top 5 pick, and then he fell all the way to 39th overall in the second round. The Jets ended his slide, and that happened. So, again, that could happen to Dante Troy or anyone else for that matter. It happens all the time. But, yeah, again, I'm just being selfish. It's all from my perspective that I'm like, man, I've set myself up in such a way that I don't immediately see the path. So again, you have to rely on this faith, this belief without evidence that it's just going to happen Dak Prescott was a 4th round pick of the Cowboys. That was unique. Brock Purdy was the final pick. These are very rare circumstances, but those teams didn't see it that way and it happened. So the Jets to rely on such a Hail Mary, that's faith.
I think this comment from Troy is talking more like what is the future of Geno Smith. Like, obviously, the Raiders are about to draft Fernando Mendoza. So is Geno about to be the backup? He about to, mentor up? Are they about to compete for the job, or is it something where Geno may want out? I mean, the reason why he's a Raider in the first place is because a specific coach loved him, and that coach isn't there anymore. So I think that's more like, is Geno a potential option? I definitely don't think he an option for the Jets. And I wouldn't want him. Like, if he called and was like, "Yo, let me come through," I'd be like, "No, thank you." But I think that's where he was leaning. And I don't really have a good answer. But
let me. Now that you've said it in that way, I totally see it now in the super chat. So my apologies, Troy. He signed a $75 million deal after he got traded. I mean, which is crazy. Obviously, Geno has gone to this unbelievable level. So there'd be a weird poetry. Again, he wouldn't be our franchise quarterback. He's older. And I don't think anyone perceives him that way anyway. But for him to stink/underwhelm, whatever you want to call it, his 4 years here, there were moments, but fleeting moments. And then he leaves, back up forever. Seattle gets a shot and has these crazy seasons, especially the one where he got comeback player of the year that season. And so, but this past season, I mean, led the league in picks, or was, I don't know, maybe he didn't in the final week because Kenny Pickett played, I guess. So maybe someone surpassed him in the final week, but yeah, it was an ugly year for Geno, but we're sifting through ugly options for bridge quarterbacks. So Geno could straight up get cut. To your point, Pete Carroll's not there anymore. So do they have any alliance to him? Does he just get traded for a 7 or something? Does he get straight up cut? Those are possibilities. So yeah, I guess that could be in the future, a Geno Smith show. Oh boy, a reunion with Geno Smith. That'd be wild. So, but possible. Yeah, maybe they keep him to compete with Fernando, but my gut would say they move on this offseason. Troy.
Damn. I think the competition would be healthy. It's a very expensive one, sure, the side of the contract. But like we keep saying over and over, like, these young guys that come in, they get handed the keys, and I think competition hasn't hurt anybody.
Let's go to a Take Flight Talk comment here, Wudi. All right, because again, Take Flight Talk just won a Super Bowl before I die. Morning, Woody. Not to be confused with Wudi. Our boy over here, he says, probably was the best thing that happened for the Jets. Moore would have been a reach at 2. Jets can now take the best player available. Probably Reese and build the roster up, get a veteran quarterback. So a few pieces through this. Probably was the best thing that happened for the Jets. That could be. Now, we won't know that till, like, here, Paul, I got a crystal ball. They got Arch Manning in 2027. Oh, wow, that worked out. Or whoever you love in the 2027 class. Sure, that's possible. So let's put that aside. Moore would have been a reach. Again, I want to make this very clear. This is not my opinion, okay? Because I don't know. I haven't seen enough Dante Moore. I've seen 3 or 4 games of Dante Moore this season. So I don't think it's enough to assess him. But for draft people I trust, Trevor Sycamas and other draft people in the world, when I said, hey, is this Dante Moore thing? Give me the God-honest truth. He's like, he is absolutely a top 3 pick of this draft. And so his expert opinion, which I trust, he says it wouldn't have been a reach. So I push back on the reach part based on draft people I've spoken with. But the fact of the matter is that he's not in here anymore, so that option is removed from the table. But you can try to find the silver lining of now the Jets are going to be force-fed the veggies here. They now have no other choice but to build up the roster. There's no quarterback at this current moment in time that's considered a number 2 overall pick, so you can build it up. Pass rushers, wide receivers. I mean, they need so many things. We could spend the entire show. We will have a future show talking about positional needs, I'm sure. So Arvell Reese seems like the favorite right now, the Ohio State linebacker who could play edge, linebacker, and everywhere else, and build this roster up. So, yeah, I think they needed a veteran quarterback anyway, to be honest with you. Whether Dante Moore came out or didn't, I think they needed a veteran. But do you think Moore would have been a reach at 2, Woody?
I don't know about a reach, but definitely not the fit for the Jets. 20 years old, doesn't have a lot of starts. I feel like a lot of people do agree, trusted analysts say, yes, this guy's a stud, he's a superstar, but he needs time to develop. And we have no history of developing QBs. We don't know what's happening with that room as of right now. We have a running back still as a QB coach. We haven't, been able to develop anyone to date. So I really think, yes, it would have been. It just wasn't the right fit. When you talk about, off the field and then the Jets organization, in my personal opinion. So I do think that would have been a miss. Obviously, Reese, I've gone on record. I'll say it again, double down, triple down. I would love to draft all defense this entire draft. Okay. Don't even look at the other side of the ball. I mean, the defense was so bad, so disgusting, just flooded with talent, and let's turn this thing around. Depending on what they do in the offseason in terms of Brees and, free agency, I think you can build a respectable offense that way. But to just have guys under contract for the foreseeable future that are making, impact plays on defense is huge, especially when you're a team that was just allowing god-awful totals of points every game. So that's where I'm at. Love Reese. Bain is another one. I mean, there's actually a lot of guys in that top, 12. Caleb Downs that I really think are, franchise changers. So that's another reason worth going defensive, because I think this is a better defensive draft. Of course, we're going to speak to a lot of analysts, and I can check myself before I wreck myself. But based on what I've seen, I feel like it's a defensive draft, and we got to take advantage.
CBW says new motto next season: March to Arch. Are you want to start printing those on T-shirts, Woody?
Well, I can't lie. I wasn't going to bring it up because it's kind of off topic, but page 81 in my diary, I was writing in it last night.
Oh my!
Page 81, the dream, the goal. It's possible. Is Arch and Mike Tomlin, or I see my guy Jake Asman, talking to some people. Kevin O'Connell, wearing the Gotham green. If any combination of those two coaches and Arch Manning are Jets in 2027, our lives will be changed forever.
Let's get a third thing in here. Let's mix it in because we're dreaming. Because, again, for people who don't know, Kevin O'Connell, the current Minnesota Vikings head coach, was former teammates with Darren Mucci and Tanner Engstrand all in that San Diego State quarterback room. I mean, that is freaking crazy bizarre that happened. So they could all be reunited, and it feels so good. But, Wudi, so okay, you said, ooh, like Kevin O'Connell, ooh, Arch Manning. And then they have 3 first-round picks. Jeremiah Smith, throw him in there from Ohio State. And you get Jeremiah Smith, you get Garrett Wilson, you get March to Arch. And apparently I've been hearing some things from Gary Myers, who I respect a lot. Gary Myers is terrific. He's a longtime columnist. He was all over this John Harbaugh reporting to the Giants. He said that the Jets' plan, where it could include Arch, is that Arch's dad and Eli and a couple others live closer to the Jets facility. They just did a recent move or something. And that he said that from what he believes, Arch wouldn't refuse to go to the Jets and pull his dad Eli thing. Instead, he would embrace being the Jets guy. And I'm like, oh, okay. So something to put on the back burner, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why people. I mean, well, I guess I do because both Peyton and Eli um, pulled some ish during the draft. But Coop. Sorry, excuse me. Coop, Arch's dad. Obviously, it was also his dream. Medically, it did not, work out for him to join his brothers in the NFL. I think Arch is just wired differently. And that should be clear, like based on even, the fact that, he's in Texas right now. Like he's not trying to copy his uncles. He's his own player. But I do think the coach matters a great deal. Like I do think if they do not like the infrastructure, they could definitely change something. They could definitely pull something. So that's where Mike Tomlin comes in, somebody that everybody respects, or Kevin O'Connell, who, we don't know what's going on with JJ, but pre-JJ had a pretty nice track record of specifically developing quarterbacks, both young and old. Like Kirk had his best seasons with KOC. So, yeah, that's a dream right now. Like, we can fast forward through this 2026 season. Of course, we're gonna talk about it, and oh my god,
we got our tailgate special, and
so we're gonna go through the motions, but 2027 with a real oh my god, and then if it ends up being Arch, I'll tell you, our lives will change forever.
All right, let's get another super chat, and then we'll get to the topic at hand. We promise, folks. Super chat.
Wow.
Johnny Boy with the $2 super chat says, we need a true RB1. I love you, Wudi. Hee. Okay. What about some Jeremiah Love? A little bit of a love connection. Love boat. Love share.
I know Johnny Boy's trolling. He be saying these things every episode. I definitely wouldn't draft Jeremiah Love. I know, he's obviously a fantastic player. But based on, again, what I saw from the running backs, the free agent running backs, if you don't re-sign Brees, which I think should be plan A and B, plan C of signing one of those other, 25, 26-year-old running backs that are dynamic athletes, I think is perfectly fine. What you need right now is a defense. I just saw somebody come at me talk about they need a wide receiver too. You kind of brought it up as well. Sure. And that's fine. But I do, like I said, I think I've said it before, I'm way bigger on AD Mitchell than the average person. I think Jeremiah Love, that'll be a waste of what we need right now.
Well, another super chat coming in from Chef Kevin Gilbert.
Wow.
He says, Johnny Boy, suck it, baby. We have an RB1. Go take a nap, boy. Because Brees Hall.
A lot of paraphrasing in there. But, this is, like
creative interpretation.
Plan A and B, is re-signing Brees. I mean, come on. The boy is 24. We have not seen his best work yet. I feel like it's a no-brainer. As long as he wants to be here, or we overpay him enough without, crippling ourselves.
Or we could just, handcuff him to the radiator with the old franchise tag, baby. You ain't going nowhere. You get that.
Yeah, but that's not a nice long-term solution, which is what I prefer, because I need him to be Arch's RB1.
Okay. But listen, right? So you say, oh, that's not a good way to keep somebody. But it's the Stockholm syndrome. You just kind of keep him locked in a castle for a while, and eventually, right? Was that Beauty and the Beast? He just sort of kept her there until she eventually fell in love with him. I mean, it's sort of fucked up, to be honest with you. I don't know how we're going on this Disney plot twist here, but yeah, he just kidnapped her, kept her there, and then eventually was like, you know what? I think I like her. And he's like, sweet, about damn time, lady. So you could do that with Brees Hall.
I mean, he was a beast. He wasn't going 3-14 every year, so I don't know if there's a lot to love with the Jets when you got somebody, captive like that. I think you should, be respectful in the negotiations, get something done now, so that when, the Jets are still 3-14 next year. You got 2 more years. Let's go.
Yeah, there you go. I've stirred some action in the comment section. Keep those super chats coming, baby. But Wudi, let's get into it. Professor Wudi, your report card. I saw your report card for the offense. Ooh, oh boy. So let's see what it is for the defense, baby.
Yeah, remember, this is players, not coaches.
Right.
Of course, I understand. You think that the coaching staff is amazing, best coaching staff in Jets history. So of course, you put all the blame on the players. Everybody, you stink, because the coaches had nothing to do with anything. So I'm expecting more of the same.
All right,
we'll start with safety.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with D+. This was a group that coming into it, I was actually super excited. We had Cisco, that thong. I'm talking about. Cisco's out here, supposed to be, reunited with his childhood team. Malachi Moore was solid in preseason. I thought this was going to be a solid group. That did not come to fruition. I gave it a D+, though. That plus is Malachi Moore, because I thought he actually was pretty solid when he got his time to shine, but then of course he got injured. This unfortunately is a group that was pretty decimated by injury, so maybe that's unfair to actually give them a grade so low, because Cisco was gone pretty early. But even from what I saw, whoever came in there, they were still taking the top off the defense, and I was not at all impressed.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a D here, and I'll push back a little bit on getting hurt early. Andre Cisco ended up getting hurt in week 8, halfway through the season. So, they had half a year of Cisco, and I was dead wrong. Again, Cisco was a free agent. I called that the Jets should be all over him free agent on the Jake Asman show, and then they got him, and I felt like the king of the world. See, I saw exactly what the Jets were looking at. They wanted a ball hawk. And ironically, they had 0 interceptions with said ball hawk. So with him or anyone else on the team for that matter. But yeah, the thing is they rolled out with Tony Adams and Cisco as the starters. And I was like, Cisco, sure. Oh, Tony, oh boy. So it took a while. They were stubborn, I guess. I don't know why they waited so long to get Malachi Moore out there. I agree. I like the upside of Malachi Moore, but they just waited forever to utilize him to his full capabilities, which I'm disappointed by. I wish his coaching staff would have been a little quicker on that. Coaching staff is a thing for next week, but Cisco goes out for the year. Tony Adams eventually goes out for the year, and it was just a hodgepodge of guys that couldn't create turnovers consistently. So the overall unit, but specifically we're starting at safeties. They couldn't create takeaways, which was terrible. And the safeties had so many chances for takeaways, where there was moments where moon balls were being sprayed to them and they ran into each other. And I don't know if it was a black cat. I don't know what the hell happened to that group. But I do have hope for Malachi Moore, but I think the rest of the room is getting blown up. I think Cisco isn't coming back. Tony Adams isn't coming back. And it's Malachi Moore and a bunch of ghosts. And they're going to be bringing a lot of new bodies in during the offseason, I think.
Boo, boo. A lot of ghosts in there. Hey. Yeah, pretty fair analysis. Let's go to the linebackers. This one was tough for me to grade because they clearly were not what we expected. But is this a Steve Wilkes issue? And the one stat that I'll focus on, right? Because that's how we separate facts and opinions, is Quincy Williams used to be like one of the best linebackers in coverage in football. Like that was like one of his claims to fame in his all-pro year. And this year we were not seeing any of that. And is it like mental? Is it that he wasn't lined up in the, same spots that he was? Like, he had a different role. That is, things that I don't know the answer to. I would have to take a deep dive with one of my guys like DT, Dylan Terman, and kind of, dive through all that. But, knowing what I know, And like Jamie and Sherwood, I was nervous about that Sherwood deal. You guys, like always, just Woody's so negative. Oh my god, the most negative person. But like, Sherwood, that's a lot of money. That's more money than I would have given Quincy, who is the All Pro. And Sherwood, he had the one, season. And this season, he got a lot of tackles. Whoop-de-doo. He was also terrible in coverage. He was not good in the run game. Like, obviously, when so many plays are run against the Jets, just by default, you're going to get some tackles. But I was not impressed by either of them. And then, of course, you go deeper into the room. No, I don't see nothing. Maui Goa, right? That was the draft pick. He can go the hell out of this team. Like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, so overall, I'm gonna give, you know what? I wrote something down on my paper, but I'm gonna officially change it. I'm gonna go with D plus. I don't want to give them lower than the safeties because Quincy, I know in my heart, Quincy is still a fantastic player, and he's gonna be fantastic on his next team. So Quincy elevates it for me for D plus.
Yeah, I'm going with an F here, and and here's the thing. Let me give a shout out, Wudi. I love this when your father chimes in on the Take Flight Talk channel.
Oh, hey now,
boys. So on the TFT channel, God bless. If we gave a volunteer, hey, let's go to the fans in the audience, let's see what their grades are. I know very important to your father, Wudi, is tackles. He loves tackles. Tackles. Give me some tackles. So he loves tackles. And if you look at the statistics, Jamin Sherwood had the 7th most tackles of any player in the National Football League this year, which again, back in the day, look at him. He's all over the place. All those tackles. I think the tackles can sometimes be a very misleading statistic because that means there is a lot of activity that's getting missed up front, that there is some cleanup opportunities or pursuit opportunities where they're running away from you. Like, oh boy, got to catch up on that. So I think that's very misleading. Yeah, Jamin Sherwood, you could argue, is one of the biggest disappointments on this entire roster this year, especially getting the $45 million. And that's tough. Again, we will have a coaches show where we talk about that level of it with Wilkes. It's really hard to, assign blame for whether it is player driven or scheme driven. And if Sherwood stays here and we get a new defensive coordinator, as we will with Wilkes already being fired, and Sherwood's immediately back to the form he was in 2024, then all of a sudden we're like, oh, so I guess it was Wilkes. But with the information that's currently presented, yeah, Sherwood was terrible. Quincy Williams, the deeper level analytics on pass coverage and stuff are just bizarre. And then he was hurt for a big chunk of it. He had a stint on IR. Our boy Marcelino McCurry-Ball, our team captain for special teams, flopping on the deck like a fish. He had to play some action, and he went on IR, I believe it was 3 times during the season, which is crazy. And when he was in there, unfortunately, he was a sieve. So it was bad for him. And then, Maui Goa, Francisco, or Kiko, as the coaches like to call him, he came in and there were spots where like, all right, here you go, youngster. He's a 5th round pick, a day 3 selection, and then he fell apart too. So yeah, all the linebackers were god awful, and that gives a lot of concern moving forward. Like, how do you replace the heartbeat of the defense? Rich Samin on his podcast believes the problem for Sherwood could be scheme related and player related, but he believes that Jamin Sherwood should no longer be the Mike linebacker. He thinks he has too much on his plate. And if you push him down the linebacker chain, again, depending on what our schematics ends up being, whether that's Sam or Will, Jamian will be able to play more free and not have to worry about everyone else, because by nature, he is a, what's the right word for this? An introverted guy. Yeah. I just mean from a leadership perspective, he had to really get himself and the coaches on him to be more of a vocal leader. And at Mike, you have to be vocal. And with that not being what he normally does, and then also he's struggling, maybe if you put him aside where someone else is pushing all the buttons and he could just be read and react, maybe that's better for sure with long term. So perhaps harsh, but man, this linebacker core was a massive disappointment this year for the Jets.
Yeah, well, that would also be, in my opinion, that's a coaching issue. Putting somebody in a position And that's the whole point of coaching is to put people in position to succeed. And if you're doing the exact opposite, taking my introverted guy and being like, "Yo, let's go," here you bring out the megaphone. Come on now, that's I really can't. And that's what we were talking. I can't remember the offensive player that we were talking about. Where I said this very similar thing. Oh, it was Josh Reynolds. It's like I'm not gonna expect Josh Reynolds to just randomly do something he's never done before, and be fantastic. Like it's also up to the coaches to put players in a position to succeed. So the linebackers, I think they failed with that miserably, which is why I had my generous answer.
Fair enough.
Corners. I'm not gonna lie. This was a very interesting one to grade. There was Brandon Stevens was getting, oh my god, barbecue chicken sauced up, and then Sauce wasn't really spectacular. Stevens played better, still not fantastic. Traded for Brownlee, immediately forced that fumble. We thought, we had I don't even know what we thought we had, but I'm gonna give this one a D. Like they were not that good. They got burnt. Oh my god, were they getting burnt by random receivers? So many people, both fantasy wise and FanDuel wise, like, yo, you think this player like Brian Thomas Jr., he's been struggling all year. You think he's going to do work against the Jets? I'm like, I don't know. He's been struggling. They got a lot of weapons. Like, nah, they're probably not going to do nothing. He's not even, wide receiver one right now. They got Jacoby. And then he goes off, like, everybody just going off. It doesn't matter who's guarding them. So, I actually think corner is like a huge problem. Like, it was something where we had the best trio in football like 2 years ago. And now, like, I don't even like any starter.
Really? Wow. Okay. I would say, to your point, right? A year ago, we're all like, woohoo, best trio of corners in the league, or 2 years ago, whatever we're saying it. And we felt good about it. And now we're like, oh boy, look at this group, which is disappointing for sure. I'm going to give this group a C+, actually. When you look at the numbers, and now there is a thing that one could say immediately after I say some of these numbers, but they were middle of the pack in a lot of the analytics. They were 17th in pass defense this season, in passing yards allowed. Now you could say, well, they didn't have to throw it because they could just run it all over them. So that could be the follow-up potentially to that statistic. Brandon Stevens, we berated the signing, and then training camp were like, oh, I'm sorry. We weren't familiar with your game, Mr. Stevens. And then immediately we're like, oh no, we were very familiar with your game. You stink. And then after that week 3 game, he became a better, more stout run defender. And then he was more involved, not from an interception standpoint. He dropped that pick 6 week 1, which would have beaten the Steelers. Thanks, Brandon Stevens. But he was more involved. So I think when you look at the contract, 3 years, $36 million, $12 million per, it doesn't seem as egregious now that the full season has played its way out. Now, Michael Carter II was awful, so that factors in to grades. Like, he was terrible, and then they shipped him off for a bag of beans. Sauce Gardner gets traded, so you lose him. You trade for Jarvis Brownlee Jr. I'm high on Jarvis Brownlee. I didn't love how the season ended with the penalty inconsistencies, and then he ended up getting hurt too. But I have promise for him as our future slot defender. He's got another 2 years left on his deal at dirt cheap control. I like some of the upside of Azareye'h Thomas. Again, I don't think he's a bona fide starter in 2026. That would be a position I would address, whether free agency or draft at corner, personally. And then obviously you can't, the fact that no interceptions, that's not just on the corners. That can go to a lot of these positions we're talking about, but no interceptions is egregious. And then shout out to my boy Quantes, who I feel much better when we do the special teams episode with his review versus his secondary work. because he had just wild swings. Like he would get burnt like toast, and then whoa, nice PD. Quantes, he broke up a pass in the end zone that would have been a touchdown. I'm like, okay, Quantes. So he was very roller coastery. But yeah, I feel solid about Brandon Stevens. Jarvis Brownlee Jr., I have hopes for. And then Azaria Thomas, like I said, is sort of 50-50 because he had not shown enough. So yeah, I'm going to go with C+.
Yeah, I forgot that Azaria Thomas even existed. That's why I didn't say it.
Oh,
Yeah, he's all right. C+ is crazy, as Dad said.
Did he say? Oh, Jesus! Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean that's
okay. That's
just like you said. It's above average, like which I don't even know how we can say that.
Okay,
but all good. On to the next. We got D tackle, which spoiler alert is my highest grade.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I gave them a C, so I said they were average. Okay. Quinnen, he obviously wasn't, all pro Quinnen, but he did some work. I really liked Harrison Phillips, and Juwan Briggs. I know is the one that you guys love. Sure. So I feel like they did some work. Now, is there work to be done in terms of stopping the run? Oh my God, of course. But there were actually points throughout the season where they were good at stopping the run. They had a low, yards per carry, which they love to flaunt on social media, and all that. Like I feel like the few games that the defense as a whole actually looked good, like Denver and Carolina, that actually started with the middle of the defensive line, in my personal opinion. Now we only saw that like twice or like 3 times, so I can't, put them more than that. But I feel like, or I hope that, like you just said about the corners, you were like, feel good about this one. This one could be I hope that Briggs and Phillips, Phillips is a great leader for that room. Briggs, solid talent who I would imagine is only going to get better, right? He's 23 or something like that. I would like them both on the team next year. And I thought they were pretty solid, all things considered, losing Quinnen, and still trying to do what they did.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the C- here.
Oh my God, it's the closest we've been, I think.
Blessed be he. A blind squirrel finds it out every once in a while, Wudi. That's important to note.
Yes. So congratulations on your nut. Pause.
With that being said, Juwan Briggs, second on the team in sacks. Pause. With 4, which is is a very nice total. Good for Juwan. Here's a sign of like, hey, they traded for him and he has this nice season in the middle of it. And then you consider this: he is an ERFA this offseason. You may say, can I buy a vowel? No. ERFA, exclusive rights free agent, which means the Jets get him at the league minimum for the 2026 season, as long as they extend the offer to him. And of course they will, because he showed tons of promise. So the Jets are going to get Juwan Briggs at an absolute steal for the 2026 season. So shout out to the trade to get him for 2025. And I still have to tweet out that clip. I've not done it yet because we've had a lot of negativity, of course, with a lot of the terrible things that have been going on. But one of the cool things I loved from the Muji Aaron Glenn end of season pressers, Muji gave us a story. How the hell did the Jets find Juwan Briggs? And he talked about the scouting staff, and one person saw them, and they have a checklist in their building that players have to meet all these criteria to even, like, if a random player that the pro personnel staff finds meets the criteria, then that scout will bring it to Darren Muji and say, hey, he checks the boxes. I want to highly recommend this. And then Muji and Glenn will watch tape on the player and see if it actually fits the bill. So that a player can't be presented to Muji or Glenn in their building based on their rules until they meet certain criteria, because the scout just can't be, Wild Wested in there saying, yeah, look at this guy because I said so. And there was a really cool story of how Briggs became a Jet. So I love that story, and hopefully one day I get to tweet it out before I'm dead. So Juwan Briggs, shout out to him. Harrison Phillips. Now, so Jawan Briggs is going to be dirt cheap. He's league minimum. Harrison Phillips has $7.5 million of non-guaranteed base salary for next season. So I hope the Jets don't get trigger happy. They got plenty of money. I hope they don't just go, you know what? We can just cut him and add more money to the pile. We'll figure out the defense. I really hope they keep him. He was a great leader for the team, and I just thought he was rock solid. I don't think he was a superstar. I don't think he was shitty. I just think he was just a professional defensive tackle, which quite frankly we need more of. So I liked Harrison Phillips. And then here's the thing. I don't really know how to factor this into grading, but like Quinnen Williams is apparently lollygagging through the Jets season of like, this team fucking sucks and I'm just gonna, sort of go through the motions here. And then he lit on fire going to Dallas. It's like, woo, blue uniform, baby, sacks, pressures, quarterback hits. And the fact that he had more in that one game than he had the whole Jet season, I was just like, what the hell? So do I blame Quinnen for that? Do I blame the coach for that? Like, who is to blame for this? I don't know, but you just throw that in the mix. It's just crazy that you're like, oh, wow, Quinnen's whatever. And he goes to Dallas, an immediate, instant coffee. You're like, wow, for Quinnen. But no, for the most part, obviously, you pointed out the run defense numbers. That was wildly too inconsistent. They're not alone to blame for the run defense issues, but those were historically enough this year.
Yes, definitely were. As for the Quinnen thing, who is to blame? It's probably a little bit of both. I mean, the coaching staff, that he didn't want to be part of a rebuild. They lied to him. They said, "Oh, we're gonna win games." And then next thing you know, whoopsie, we didn't say we're gonna win games this year. Come on now, so. I have no for that. I just want to give a quick shout out. I mean, I feel like this whole show we've been, riffing with comments, but I guess I don't know shit because. My guy, Retire 80 already is out here just saying we yapping. Damn, we just yapping. We literally just shared a comment 2 minutes ago. But we definitely I would say we both probably read every single comment. And there's a lot, we love the engagement. And we try to, react to the most intriguing ones that we'll all enjoy, I would say.
So let me highlight several of yours, Retire 80 already. Let me see.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease. My man squeaking.
Yeah, okay. You want it? You got it. Okay, here we go. Let's go. Okay. Wudi is literally rocking everywhere. Okay, I can vibe with that. Let me get a couple more in here. Okay. Paul is educated in 1930s broadcasting voice, so get some of that. Some FM dial for you. Sure, pal. Okay, wait, let me keep looking. I don't want to chide you. Okay, we got sorry, I feel all of our secondary are backups. They just, it's a rough room. All right, there, I see that. Let's see. Cisco could have started again somewhere, but he's a backup for now. Yeah, he'll have to prove himself. We will see. And then that was a comment. Do you guys actually read comments, or are you just a bunch of bozos over there? So there you go. Pow, 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 pow.
Nice. Look at that.
Okay. Nice.
Look at that.
Come on now. Anywho, what was your next position there, Woodster?
I think the last one, Edge. Don't push me because I'm close to the edge.
Okay. The Rated R Superstar.
Ooh.
Edge. All right. Woody, let me jump in on this one first. You've been guiding this ship. I've had enough of your ship guiding. I'm taking over the controls. I'm the captain of the ship now. I'm the captain of the ship. Here it is. The Jets were second to last in sacks this season. The only team they had more sacks than was the San Francisco 49ers, who Nick Bosa's leg exploded 3 weeks into the season. So you would have think he would have gotten 10 or 12 by himself, which means the Jets would have been last. But they're not. They're 31st. Hey, now, put that on the bulletin board. The Jets finished with 26 sacks. And then when you really boil down those numbers even more, so Will McDonald has 8. He has, what was that, 4, 2, 6? So he had all of those in 3 games. So it's just, when you really boil it down, you're like, what the heck? So take that for what you will. You go to Jermaine, and Jermaine's coming off a torn Achilles. So on one hand, you got to go, we should factor that in. But then the Jets, which goes into the coaching, they didn't add anybody else in the room, thus relying on Jermaine to be Superman. And he was a little more Clark Kent this year. or Bruce Wayne, maybe, was even more accurate. Like someone else who, was getting paid an expensive fee from the rookie, but not delivering on the field. So, yeah, the edge rushers were god awful. The team numbers are terrible. The overall numbers are bad in terms of this. The one hand feeds the other. If the Jets had a better pass rush, the secondary probably would have caught an interception. Actually, that's not true. Come on, this secondary probably wouldn't have caught shit no matter what flew in their direction, but they would have had a much better chance if the pass rush could get some juice. And it was just invisibility, man, over and over again. Those quarterbacks had all day. Steve Wilkes, I'll throw 5, 6, 7, 8. Didn't matter. The quarterback always seemingly found a way. So there's scheme stuff we'll get into next week. But yeah, F plus. I don't even know if you could do a plus on an F, but I'll give it a spin. F plus, because Will McDonald did have 8 sacks. And while they came in some fluky ways, it's still 8 sacks. And, so consider that for the plus. But to be honest, it was god awful.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I think this is the only grade between the two, offense and defense report cards. I think this is the only one that I have lower than you.
Wow.
I had F.
Okay.
Yeah, I had F.
Okay.
Even the dudes that they had, I can't even remember any of them right now. Like Tyler Barron, like these
Braden McGregor.
Yeah, bump. Like literally just because that's what it is, right? The whole room, like you're relying on these two guys. I'm trying to tell y'all, Will is like not that good. And like Jermaine, I love Jermaine. But to your point, the coaches was like, yo, no snap count. We out here just full force ahead. He got injured and he missed a lot of time. So next season, I want like the entire Jermaine, everyone else can be gone. Every single person. I want a completely different room. And that's where, for me, a lot of talk about Reese. There's a lot of talk about a lot of guys. But Ruben Bain Jr., that's like probably my pick. Because I feel like we haven't had that edge rusher that, is going to change the game. And we keep getting these guys like Bryce Huff, I think is a good example, who, can definitely impact the game, but like I'm talking about week in, week out, the other team, when they drawn up their offensive game plan, they're like, all right, we need to, make sure we know where this dude is at all times. That was Quinnen. We don't have that anymore. I feel like that would be Ruben Bain Jr., and that's what we need because we haven't had that on the outside for a long time. And Wilson he's not it. He's not it. And shout out to AG because he was hyping himself up. Oh, it's all coaching. I think Will's about to have a breakout season. It's all coaching. This dude, the bummiest coach in the history of the NFL. Talking about coaching, he's going to coach this person up, and they all just bums. So I wanted to, because that was one where AG was specifically hyping up like, oh, Will McDonald's about to go off, and he did not.
Hey, let's give 3 shout-outs here. Matt Khalifa reposting the stream on Twitter to even more people. Appreciate you, Mac. Hit him with that flex. Big pump. I love it, Mac. Mac attack, big Mac. Okay. And then, so we need to build our defense like Houston. Sign me the hell up, by the way. We need solidified edge rushers, lockdown quarters. Yes, please. Where the hell do I submit this request? Yes, I would absolutely love that. That'd be spectacular. Shout out, by the way, real quick to the 300 people in the room. Like the video, hit subscribe here as we're here for another minute or two before we wrap up the program on our report cards. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. Wudi, why don't you give a quick plug for a little bit of TFT action? Because maybe some of the TFTs will be DTF on TFT, huh?
Hey, yo, well, we don't have to worry about DTF. We're about TFT. Take Flight Talk, where we're talking New York Jets. A lot of it is, responding to news. So if you want to know with the facts without having the Kool-Aid, somebody who's not plugged into the Kool-Aid world. Yo, Holmes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like real reactions to the news that happens. I just responded to Dante Moore yesterday. This show, best show on all of YouTube. We got something for everybody. Boy Green meets Wudi Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then of course the flagship show that's been going on for 4 years. We're talking about Abby, who's been covering the Jets for over a decade, and Michael K, the active college running back who breaks down the X's and O's in a way that I cannot. A lot of value on the channel. We're actually recording our next episode tomorrow. So stay tuned.
There you go, baby. So, guys, make sure you show the love again every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m., which is absolutely the best. And again, I'll be back tomorrow morning on Boy Green Daily with Bob Lederer, that wonderful author over my left shoulder for the Super Bowl team that changed football forever, talking about the New York Jets. So, looking forward to that. And Wudi, we've got a very busy offseason ahead of us, my friend.
Yes, absolutely. So, we still got, the topics coming, conversation flowing. Of course, we react to things as they happen. As you see, today we spent a lot of time talking about, the current events. So we're going to keep doing that. We're going to engage with your comments. Okay. Retire 80. Yeah. We here. Okay. I love them. I love, a lot of them crack me up, or I learned something. Sometimes you guys drop breaking news. So super interactive. I pride myself on having a super interactive show. So definitely appreciate you guys. Appreciate the energy on both channels. You guys had the conversation popping.
And this is my last thing. Let me just channel a Wudi gif he sent me earlier. Whoa, just take it easy, man. That's it. That's a message. Whoa, we try to read as many comments as possible. I'm sorry if we don't get to them at the speed you are looking for, sir. We'll try to be better. Go back to the lab and work on it. We take constructive criticism, no doubt about it. I get more of it from Wudi than anyone else in the universe. So we're going to work on it, baby. We're going to work it. Thank you.
Work.
God bless everybody.